Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I just recently shared my No Terraforming Island with you all, and I have to say I'm kind of blown away by the response to it. Not only have a lot of people said some very nice things about my island, but also a lot of people were still very interested in the no terraforming concept and have been thinking about starting one themselves. Plus, also on stream, and a little, shameless self-promo right there, I do stream over on Twitch, twitch.tv/SparksB, and I also upload all of my stream VODs here on YouTube on my SparksB archive channel. If you do want to go ahead and follow there, I would very much appreciate it. But on stream also, lots of people always ask me for tips on how to decorate an island, or tips to terraform, tips for like burnout, and just generally how to get inspired and how to continue kind of working on your island. And because I think that for a lot of people, a no terraforming island might be the answer, I do really want to share my experience with you all today and kind of tell you a few of the pros and cons that I personally see when it comes to a no terraforming island. And then last but not least, of course, if I was to recommend this type of island to you all. If you like this type of video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you don't want to miss any future videos. And then without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. All right, we are going to start with the cons. So anything that I feel like is kind of not the greatest about a no terraforming island. Number one, depending on the layout that you choose, of course, there's like lots of different ones, but depending on that layout, the map might be very boring and it doesn't offer many impressive areas. Plus, it can feel really like small and like you don't really have a lot of space, or you can't really do a lot of stuff. Or it can also be the exact opposite and it can feel too big and stuff like too repetitive and you don't really know what to do. Number two, vanilla maps oftentimes have super boring landscaping in and of itself, like straight rivers, straight cliffs, and all of that kind of stuff, which can be hard to work with sometimes, especially also because I personally found the flow of the island quite tough. Number three, these vanilla maps and the boring landscaping that I've mentioned before, they usually come with big flat areas that kind of need to be filled, which can be really tough because it sometimes feels like you have to come up with even more ideas and even more areas to create than with like an island where you would kind of terraform. Because number four, you cannot use landscaping or waterscaping to impress or even fill areas. I'm the type of person, I oftentimes, if I have like a big space that I don't know what to do with, I'll put up some cliffs and use some waterfalls or make a lake or something like that, which is just not really an option when it comes to a no terraforming island. Plus, something else I love about islands is always like a viewing platform, something where you can stand and see like very far into the distance, which oftentimes isn't quite possible with a no terraforming island either, because usually the vanilla maps are flat at the front and then they start getting higher in the back, which makes these viewing platforms essentially impossible. Number five, sometimes in order to even be able to fit in bridges and inclines, you might still have to do some slight alterations, because inclines, for example, cannot be placed diagonally, and there's only so many spots for them on a no terraforming island. Plus, in general, planned things might not work out. You might want to have a bridge somewhere or an incline somewhere, and it's just not going to fit unless you give yourself that little freedom and you make slight alterations. And finally, number six, and I feel like this might be the biggest one. If you have already flattened, if you've already worked on your island and you kind of just want to flatten everything and start over, it's really hard to recover that vanilla map. You could try and get a picture of a layout or refer to your vanilla map if you took a picture of it, but it's still kind of hard to like recover from that. So the only option to get a map and an island that had no terraforming on it just yet is to restart. And restarting can be tough and scary, especially now with the new update and all of the new stuff and maybe the DLC. Restarting means you lose all of that progress. Now, if you do use treasure islands, of course, it'll be a little bit easier to get all that stuff back. But still, restarting is a big step, and I feel like not many people would be willing to take this step. And with those reasons against a no terraforming island, let's also talk about reasons for a no terraforming island. Number one, I feel like a lot of people started playing Animal Crossing back in the days when it just came out, and not a lot of people did like the very impressive landscaping from the start. I think a lot of people started with their original layout and just tried to work with that and made like tiny alterations here and there. And I did the same thing, and I personally feel like that helped me understand the game a little bit better and learn to decorate, if that makes any sense. Like I was able to really get used to all the different items that there are, find some of my favorite items, some of my favorite item combinations, all that kind of stuff. And it was really fun to not have to worry about anything else apart from the actual decorating. So I feel like if you're just starting to play Animal Crossing, or you're getting back into it, or you just need a little bit of time to get used to some of the stuff, or you want to learn the decorating a little bit more, this could be a great way to do that. Number 2, if you're feeling a little bit burnt out, I have noticed the hype already kind of dying down again after the update. This could be a fun challenge because it is a challenge. Landscaping and waterscaping have become so natural and just a thing that everyone does. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge to not do it, which can make you want to play the game again. Number 3, I feel like this plus the challenge aspect was actually the reason why I did it, because no terraforming eliminates an entire big step for you, or maybe even 2, because usually when I start a new island, the first thing I'll do is completely flatten everything. And then I'm presented with a completely flat island that I have to build up again, step by step. And I have to constantly think about, do I want a cliff here? Do I want water here? Do I maybe want to have like a land bridge or like this or that special feature? And I constantly have to think about the big like landscaping and waterscaping decisions, about the flow of the island, all that kind of stuff. With a no terraforming island, that's just not a thing. You completely eliminate the step and you can start decorating right away. You can work on pathing right away. It's just so much fun to dive right in, and it is just not as overwhelming, which I feel like is probably the reason why my first kind of 2 islands that I started pretty much failed. So this could help you a lot when it comes to being overwhelmed. Number 4, you're presented with a clear and finished layout right from the start. The entire base of your island is done essentially, which also means that you can kind of start right away by placing inclines and bridges and placing houses. You can establish areas for certain builds and just have that clear image of where things are going, which again helps because it's not as overwhelming and you have this like very, very clear kind of to-do list almost. Number 5, with this clear layout and being able to place all the houses, you can pretty much work on the entire island at once. Like I'm the type of person with a regular island, I always start from the entrance and then work my way around step by step, and I can always really just work on the adjacent areas to the one I built before. That's not the case with this island anymore because all of the layout, all of that base is already established and you have all those little nooks that you can place stuff in, and then, you know, the land is divided by the river, which makes it super easy to work on different areas at once and still be able to connect them. And it makes a lot of sense. And I feel like being able to work on different areas helps me personally with feeling burnt out, with losing my inspiration, because you can switch up styles from area to area. And if you're not inspired to work on the entrance today, you can just work on the back of the island and still easily connect it all. Number 6, you can start pretty much right away. There's no need necessarily for you to wait for 3 stars. Of course, if you want to unlock the pathing, which I personally consider something entirely different from the terraforming, like landscaping, waterscaping. But apart from that, you really don't need to wait for it. You don't need the landscaping and you can pretty much start right away. If you have some items, if you have some codes downloaded, you can start from the entrance or from wherever you want and start decorating right at the very start, which is incredibly much fun, and you don't have to wait for that like tutorial to be over. And number 7, last but not least, if you end up finishing an island or even just finishing an area of a no terraforming island, I can speak from experience that you'll feel kind of proud. Like whenever I showed offline to someone and then mentioned that it's a no terraforming island, I essentially made no changes to the landscaping. People were always impressed, and I'm not gonna lie, it does give you kind of like a boost and a rush of confidence, and it's quite nice to be so proud of an island. All right, and those are the pros and cons to a no terraforming island in my opinion, and now let me put my personal spin on it. So would I recommend you to do a no terraforming island? Yes, I personally think it's a lot of fun. Like I said, it's a fun challenge. I think it can really challenge people to create stuff and like try around with a few bigger builds that you maybe had in mind. I think being able to dive right in and work on different areas at once really helped me personally. And it is something I would definitely recommend. And also don't forget that, you know, if you're halfway through the island and you're just missing water or landscaping too much, you can always add it back in. You could do half of the island is flat and half of the island is like with lots of cliffs, like almost like mountains and that kind of stuff. You can always change it. You can always adapt it to your liking so that it's still fun for you. But I think that this really helps, especially when you're feeling overwhelmed when starting a new island. I actually have a feeling that this might have not been my last no terraforming island. So we'll see what awaits us in the future. And also, I think I will make a video about some tips and tricks I have about a no terraforming island so that you can kind of use some of the pros and counteract some of the cons that I mentioned today. If you're interested in that, let me know down below in the comments. And also, if you've worked on a no terraforming island before, let me know all of your experiences down below as well. And then thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future content. And then I hope you have an awesome time until I see you in the next video. Bye everyone.